for Insurance, to the chairman for Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Olola. My name is Rotimi Adewale. I will be moderating the event for the day. We are all welcome to the 2021 Insurance Stakeholders Consultative Forum in Nigeria Insurance Industry. For our time, we have had the national anthem.
But your picture is not showing, but your name is there, Shola. Your name is
the president. You have the floor. Toby for the welcome address.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I hope I'm clear to everyone. Good morning. Chairman, House Committee of Insurance and Actuarial Matters, Right Honorable Darlington Nwokocha, Mr. Sunday Thomas, Commissioner for Insurance, Olola Olabode Ogunlano, our Doyen of Insurance, Mr. Boyga Olambiwoninu, Chairman, the Insurance Group of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, officers and council members here present from the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, all MDs and CEOs of insurance companies and brokers who are here present, Dr. Muda Yusuf, Director General, Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. It is my pleasure this morning to join the chairman of the Insurance Group of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mr. Boyga Olambiwoninu, to welcome our esteemed guests to this Stakeholders Consultative Forum with the theme, The Nigerian Insurance Industry Breaking New Frontiers. The essence of this webinar is to facilitate conversations and exchange of ideas on the way forward for the Nigerian insurance industry. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as you may be aware, the insurance industry plays a pivotal role in the sustainability growth of our economy. Insurance generates significant impact on the Nigerian economy by mobilizing domestic savings, converting accumulated capital into productive investments, mitigating risks, enhancing financial stability, and promoting trade and commerce. However, the industry has not benefited from the growth experienced by other segments of the financial services sector, such as pension funds, banks, mutual funds, etc., in the last decade. The insurance industry has hardly grown in real terms in the last decade on account of numerous headwinds affecting industry players, including the low awareness amongst the populace on the importance of insurance, weak purchasing power, poor technology adoption, unfriendly economic conditions, as well as cultural and religious sentiments, amongst others. Distinguished participants, the Nigerian insurance industry, despite its enormous potentials, is still far behind its African peers, judging by the key indicators. Insurance penetration rate is in percent, according to the Global Insurance Market Report. And this compares very poorly with Ghana, Kenya, and South Africa, with an insurance penetration rate of 1%, 2%, and 17% respectively. Ladies and gentlemen, there are prospects for the insurance sector with several changes in the regulatory framework, which will lead to further changes in the way that the industry conducts its business. This sector can attain greater success post-pandemic when the players in the sector take new strategic positions in the drive to expanding the insurance industry. Digitization and its pace of implementation will determine the future of the insurance industry, as it tends to propel players in the sector towards capturing a considerable size of the market. Digitization will also help in a smooth and effortless process for customers coming into the insurance industry. I am optimistic that today's discussions will generate ideas that will propel the growth of our insurance industry. So once again, on behalf of the chairman and the entire membership of the insurance group, I welcome you all to this virtual discuss. Thank you for your attention.
Of commerce and industry. Our sincere appreciation, and once again, we apologize for taking off a bit late. We go straight to the opening speech by the chairman of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the insurance group, Mr. Boyega Olambiwonino. Boyega, you have the floor. Boyega, you have the floor.
I'll see. Committee on Insurance, Honorable Mr. Doyen Mulano, CCI President of CCI, the DJ Moda Yusuf, Chairman of NIA Transcomlink, Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, I said to welcome all this edition of the LCCI Forum Air discussions of each of the Nigerian Insurance Group. I'm privileged. You will all this group also in line with the enhance the knowledge engagement with us in the nation. Permit me to ask to be the parts within and outside the aim to systematically webinar. Desire for more knowledge of the confidence they have and the citizens who have been slated to. I'm all Commissioner for Insurance, Mr. Son, electing to address also the life of the esteemed, the doyen of the insurance industry, chairman and the chairman of STEAM on this webinar. In the insurance industry, Olola,
we have or perspective for the historical background of the industry, underscoring its popular philosophical statement on the Trinity of Time, which he often refers to as the past and the future. Of course, I cannot omit to appreciate the support of the president of the LCCI, the indefatigable Mrs. Tokiba Bogunje, the DJ Mr. Moda, and the living legends of the LCCI Insurance Group, Dr. Remy, our Honorable Life Vice President, Dr. Olawale Ko, the Deputy President, as well as Mr. Shola Tinubu, the immediate President of the Nigerian Council Register of Insurance Brokers, and MD CEO, Skip Nigeria and Co. Limited. SARS, your combined efforts have made this event a reality.
Gentlemen, I'll be focusing insurance in frontiers. At a time, especially during by the COVID-19 resulted in paradigm shift, business re-engineering, focusing remodeling recovery. And in the challenge will be to marry discipline execution as an industry new frontiers story, but it is little nails the stringent efforts being made by the regulator and the industry stakeholders will still lag behind in the financial services percent to the definitely without trying. I think why we are here, we are in the trajectory. Our and rapidly changing closer inter and intra by focus industry relationship and partner bedrocks for breaking new frontiers. We must, as an industry, take advantage of global directions towards knowledge-based economy, which warrants that services, including insurance, and must be delivered with speed and without losing the content of ethics and integrity, which are the hallmark of our profession. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you all for joining and wish bless you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gwega, for your opening speech. We thank you. We thank your team for putting this together. Here I call on Olola Olabode Ogunlano, the doyen of the industry, to please give us the keynote address. Thank you, our doyen. You have the floor.
Thank you very much. The president of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, please permit me to stand on existing protocols. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, sir. Clearly, sir.
Yes, sir.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is good and great that we have all survived thus far the ravages of the monster called COVID-19 pandemic. It is invisible. No one has seen it, but the whole world is feeling its effect. Even the great and mighty of the world, at whose frown we, puny mortals, quake, live in fear of it. COVID-19 is indeed a leveler. It is therefore with great pleasure that I welcome you all to this event. I find the theme for this year, Nigeria insurance industry, breaking new frontiers, as intriguing as it is fascinating. Expressed another way, my understanding is that the industry intends to identify and use the new opportunities which the post-COVID-19 pandemic will bring. If my understanding is correct, we are back to what we harped on last year. The impact of the past on the present and the important is as important as the import of the present on the future. I wish to ask, is the Nigerian insurance industry battle ready? The future in which we plan to break new frontiers is the post-COVID-19 period. We do not need a soothsayer to tell us that the period will throw up many changes. But we need not be frightened at the prospect. the permanence and relevance of change in life are indisputable. With determined efforts, they can be tackled. At this stage, I want us to look at an analogy. Let's examine a tree. A tree has roots, trunk, stems, and branches. It produces fruits which are eatable. It also provides oil and juices which are also edible. It has saps for medicinal and other uses. The tree needs the soil to enable its roots to stand firm and to draw nutrients. The well-being of the tree depends on the nature of the soil, climate, and many other factors. All these together produce a good tree with healthy trunk, stems, branches, leaves, and fruits. The fruits, the oils, the saps and juices, that is the produce of the tree, reflect the health of the tree and everything else that flow from it. The tree is not unlike a nation state. Our regions and states are the stems. The latter, in turn, produce the communities, be they cities, towns, districts, villages, and so on. In our own situation, the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry is the stem from which the Nigerian insurance industry and other sectors from commerce and industries, that is branches, draw their nutrients. The governments at federal and state levels are the trees. They have stems and branches dependent on them for life. Significantly, these relationships are in many cases reversible. Following from the foregoing is politics, the activities associated with the governance of a country or area. In considering politics, in its wider sense, we need to look at other related features. Politic of an action, seeming sensible and judicious in the circumstances. Political, relating to the government or public affairs of the country. Political correctness, the careful avoidance of forms of expression or action that are perceived to exclude or insult groups of people who are socially disadvantaged or discriminated against. Emanating from the foregoing are some related issues, such as who is a statesman or stateswoman? What is statecraft? A statesman or stateswoman is one who is a skilled, experienced, and respected political figure or leader. Statecraft is a skillful management of state affairs. The foregoings are the stems, branches, and fruits of a healthy nation state. Let's come back to the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry and the Nigerian insurance industry, which are the joint focus of the moment. What LCCI is to NII can be likened to is a stem from which the branch derives its nutrients. like Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industries, bodies such as Nigerian Employers Consultative Association and Manufacturers Association of Nigeria and others obtain nutrients from their members, whereas the universities and other comparable bodies derive their nutrients from governments at federal and state levels. The two trees in the analogy, the nation and the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, need to remain healthy for their stems, branches, etc., to produce wealth, their mainstay, and vice versa. Many individuals and institutions seldom stand back to examine and or sit down to meditate on these relationships, which, as I previously said, in many cases are reversible. The Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the STEM, cannot beat its chest with glee and proclaim its success to the nation without the success of the Nigerian insurance industry and other industries, which together constitute the branches. It is from them that the shine and thrive, which enables LCCI to puff its chest, are derived. Here I am referring to its good health and fruits, the profits made by its members, on which its continued existence and relevance depend. Similarly, the success of the nation state is dependent on those of its stems and branches. I wish to restate what I said last year. The main purpose of insurance is an economy is to protect and conserve the wealth of the nation, to create additional wealth. Concomitant with these are the creation of within the nation, of the awareness of risk management and maintenance culture. These are the areas which should engage the attention of the Nigerian insurance industry, aided by the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. As at now, insurance penetration on the economic and social life of the nation is abysmally low. This is where the task of breaking new frontiers should begin. How many individuals in Nigeria know what insurance and its values to homes and to the society as a whole are? The first frontier to cross is market penetration. In doing so, Nigerian insurance industry should not look up to the governments or other sources. The responsibility falls squarely on its shoulders. You need to walk your talk. Do less talking. Intensify your walking. The insurance industry did that 70 years ago. The Nigerian insurance industry should become more marketing oriented, such that school children, university students, workers, both in the public and private sectors, as well as market women, would appreciate the importance of insurance and what it means to the economy. The Nigerian insurance industry needs to be more innovative, resourceful, and determined. Go and dust old records. You will discover what our grandparents did 100 years ago. They had Aro, mutual help in doing farm work. Ìdájọ́ owó àti iṣẹ́, similar to Aro, but not confined to farm work. It was used as well to finance small businesses, Idokowo. ESU, a fund where several persons pool their money, each paying a fixed sum weekly or monthly, and each participant drawing out the total in rotation. Lagos Friendly Society, of which I was a member, did so in the 60s. The Lagos Friendly Society went further. Its participants took term life assurance, which ensured that if a member died before completion of the cycle, the insurer would pay so that no one suffers any loss. In the 50s and 60s, 2 or 3 insurance companies had industrial life assurance policies, with collectors going to markets and work sites to collect the premium. The proceeds of the policies were used for meeting expenses of burials or starting small businesses. We also had life endowment policies for home ownership. With information technology and other new innovations, you can improve on and modernize these innovations. The sky is the limit. Permit me at this point to digress. After 50 years of slogging in insurance, to be precise, June 202, I veered off into a new area of interest, the study of Yoruba culture. This might have been due to Maslow's theory of needs. By 2002, I had satisfied the lower needs of life. Between then and now, I have made eye-opening and mind-boggling discoveries in Yoruba culture. Yoruba philosophy has revealed to me aspects of Yoruba culture hitherto unknown to me, and others which I had glossed over or neglected. Our forebears had distilled and encapsulated a lot into the culture by way of proverbs. The proverbs have much to say about the nation state, how to live well and in peace, how to pull together, notwithstanding differences in the various cultures, how to gather and utilize wealth without becoming beggars or subservient. I'm also aware that many of the other Nigerian cultures have similar stockpile of knowledge. These are the mainstay of the society. In the Yoruba pantheon, the goddess responsible for commerce is Aje. She has been equated to money or wealth, which is the mainstay of society. In years gone by, the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry would have been worshiping at her shrine. I wish to share with you some of the proverbs which are relevant to today's deliberation and the future of Nigeria. I suggest you meditate on them. The very proverbs are, number 1, Akidake kashiwi, akiwosun kadaron. A careful and cautious person seldom gets into trouble. The wise knows when silence is golden. The prudent knows when to speak. 2, bí ará ilé ẹni bá ń jẹ kòkòrò burúkú, tí a bá tètè sọ fún kùrùhẹrẹ ò ní jẹ́ ká sùn lóru. If a member of one's household is eating bad insects and not cautioned, his or her hacking noise will not permit one any sleep during the night. If you do not advise your brother, you will share in his misfortune. Number 3, bí igi bá wó lu igi, tòkè lákọ́ gbé. First things first, don't put the cart before the horse. 4, àgbájọ ọwọ́ la fi ń sọ àyà. There is strength in unity. 5, ọlọ́múdá ọmú ìyá ẹ̀ gbé. Each breastfeeding child must lift its own mother's breast by itself. 6, a kì í fi gbèsè sọ́rùn ṣọ̀ṣọ́. One should discharge one's obligations before indulging in extravagance. 7, a kì í kó èlé ṣẹ̀ṣọ́. Live within your means. Number 8, ọ̀tún wẹ òsì, òsì wẹ ọ̀tún, lọ́wọ́ fi ń mọ́. Success in a venture or project depends on cooperation. 9, pípé là á pé gbọ́n, a kì í pé gọ̀. 2 heads are better than 1. 10, a kì í fini jóye àwòdì ká má lè gbádìí ẹ̀. One should live up to expectations. 11, a kì í pẹ̀lú ọ̀bọ jáko. Do not join others in their madness. 12, àṣesílẹ̀ làbọ̀ wá bá. Ẹni bá ṣu sílẹ̀, á bọ̀ wá bá eṣinṣin. What one leaves behind is what one returns to find. Whoever leaves excrement behind will find flies. Number 13, a kì í jayé ọba ká ṣu sára. Lack of moderation and decorum will bring disgrace to even the most elevated. Number 14, a kì í mọ̀ ọ́ rò bí ẹlẹ́jọ́. No one can know better than the person himself or herself where it hurts most and what relief is needed. 15, ẹyin lọ̀rọ̀, bó bá balẹ̀, fífọ́ ní ń fọ́. Speech is an egg. When it drops on the floor, it shatters. 16, a kì í gbọ́ lù lẹ́nu àgbà. Elders resolve disputes. They do not goad disputants on. I've decided to limit the Proverbs to 16. Nítorí pé ẹ̀rẹ̀dógún Ifá ní ń fọ́re. Because only 16 Odu are propitious, I'm sure that you will find some of the Proverbs useful. Sometimes the wise must become a fool to ensure the survival of wisdom. It is the only way to release the lion in a donkey. Àgbà kì í wà lọ́jà, orí ọmọ títún wọ́. Elders must not permit untoward happenings in their presence. Change is an essential part of life. We must partner with change to ensure that we are well positioned at all times. New times are evolving. We need to change with them. Time there was when we had sayings such as, ohun tí àgbàlagbà fi ń jẹ ẹ̀kọ́ abẹ́ ewé ló ń wà. That is, not all secrets should be revealed to the young. Let's keep our secrets secret. Another one says, erin kì í fọ́n kí ọmọ erin náà máa fọ́n. That is, wait your time to play the master, whether we like it or not. Post-COVID-19 period will dictate, we re-examine sayings such as this. We need to change our mindset. Bí a bá fi ohun tó wà lábẹ́ ewé hun ọmọ àti ọmọ wọn á sọkún lọ́jọ́ ọ̀la. Being too secretive may be dangerous for coming generations. Similarly, tí ọmọ erin kò bá fọn lójú bàbá rẹ̀, nígbà tí bàbá bá kú ìfọnkúfọn ni ọmọ erin máa fọn. Through thorough training of followers is the only way that makes transition smooth and ensures better future. All have been said. Let those who have ears hear. God bless you all. God bless Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you very much, our doyen of the industry. I don't know where to start from. I don't know how best to thank you. But one thing that is so clear is listening to you at every point in time has always been a blessing. And that is what you have remained a major factor to guide our industry. Thank you for all the wisdom. Thank you for touching us beyond the insurance industry. Key things you talked about that also reflect on what Mrs. Toki Mabubi talked about is the market penetration. And specifically, you said we should walk the walk and not speak the walk. We should walk the walk through determination and resourcefulness. We should go by the path. Thank you once again. We'll keep looking up to you and we'll keep following on you at every point in time. At this stage, we go straight to the next item on the agenda. The remark by the chairman, House Committee on Insurance and Actuarial Matters, the Right Honorable Darlington Nwokocha. My Right Honorable, you have the floor, sir. Thank you. The House Committee Chairman, first let me apply on your name or your number is different from yours. I believe it's a temporary thing and will be corrected. Thank you. You have the floor, sir. Right Honorable Darlington Nwokocha, the House Committee Chairman on Insurance and Actuarial Matters. Right Honorable Darlington Nwokocha, you have the floor, sir. Right Honorable Nwokocha, you have the floor, sir.
You are still muted.
Thank you, my Honorable. You're muted, sir. Kindly unmute. You have the floor, Right Honorable Nwokocha, but your mic is still muted. Can you please unmute? You're still muted, sir. While we're still waiting for Right Honorable Nwokocha, let us keep reflecting on those proverbs and let us see how much we can utilize this in our lives. They are words of wisdom, words that only come every day. You have the floor, sir. You're still muted. While they're working on the network for Right Honorable Nwakucha. Can I seek the permission of the House Committee Chairman to take the Commissioner for Insurance? And we'll come back to you. Do I have your permission, sir? So that you take the time to sort out your mic. Hello? Thank you so much. I will take the Honorable Commissioner and come back to you immediately. Thank you. We'll move next to the agenda, the item on the agenda while we lay the presentation by the Chairman House Committee on Safety. I will take on the Commissioner for Insurance.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you, sir.
And we want to start from the chairman of the House Committee on Insurance and Actuarial Matters. In government, there's always this protocol. And for him to have given me the permission to ride around, I must acknowledge that. So thank you, my chairman. Our elder statesman, the doyen of insurance, our father, Olola Olabode Ogunlana. I greet you, sir. The president of the Lagos Chambers of Commerce. And on this note, I want to start on all existing and established protocols. My responsibility here this morning is just to air my views about the future of this market and, of course, in general, the insurance sector. But I must acknowledge the Lagos Chambers of Commerce and Industry, the voice of business community, whose primary objective is economic growth of our great nation. It is important to me that this platform is fully utilized. It has proved over time, at least the last 3 years now, that the platform have added value to policy decisions through comments that have been raised at different fora. So I have to acknowledge the insurance group of the LCCI as led by our own, the chairman, Mr. Gwega. And thank you for bringing up at this point in time the subject matter looking at insurance and breaking the new frontiers. I'm not taking this opportunity for granted. I want to thank you because I believe that at the end of this program, we will be able to find some solutions to some existing problems and chart a course for the future. Now, the phrase new frontiers was deployed or used by President Kennedy in his acceptance speech in 1960. And that is what we want to be looking at today. We're going to be asking questions. It's not as much as what I'm going to promise, but we will be asking ourselves questions about the future of our sector, the insurance industry. The changing customers' preferences, regulatory concerns, technological architecture, governance structure, and the likes. All these ones requires necessary changes in our business. the best way to maintain afloat is to shift focus away from the storm by enduring its waves, because this is the way that will help us to ride the tide so that we can see what lies ahead of us. Evidently, the pandemic has proved to be a big strain on economies and markets. But the issue is, if it's not going to make our business better, it shouldn't make our business worse. What we are saying here is that we must learn the lessons of COVID-19. We must look far into the future and see how best we can prepare for the future. In any case, insurance itself is preparing for the future. All activities and products and the way we conduct affairs should be looking at the future. Ladies and gentlemen, the nature of I'll just briefly look at the global insurance industry. But it's important for us to know that things that we are living with today may not sustain us tomorrow. For example, if we have the soft market, of course, we know that the global insurance market itself is cyclical. Things happen over and over again, and this prepares us for what is likely to happen in future so that we can get ready for it. If we have experienced soft markets in a while, we must brace up for hard markets as premiums are bound to increase. We must get ourselves ready for that. Then we just look at some numbers. The global insurance market is expected to grow in 2020 to $5.05 trillion in 2021 at a compound growth rate of 12.9%. Of course, in 2025, it's expected to rise to 6.3 trillion. Life sector growth is supposed to slow down at 2.2% within looking at an average of the previous 10 years, though it's stronger than the average of the previous 10 years, but it's supposed to slow down by the projections. A slump in demand for insurance in the year 2020, of course, we knew why. We all went through all of that in 2020, especially in the non-life covers. It was estimated that the COVID-19 crisis will slow life insurance growth rate, which will lead to aggregate market contraction. The numbers that are coming now seems not to have reflected largely on this projection, because we have had reports and returns on the 2020 production. It's not as bad as projected, so that gives hope. Then this is just general numbers for the global performance between 2019, 2020, and projected into 2021 and 2022 for the different regions of the world. If you look at the numbers, you can infer what is lying ahead of our market. Looking at Nigeria, we are now back home, looking at the Nigerian insurance industry. The annual contribution of GDP by finance and insurance sector, year 2020, which consists of financial institutions, insurance inclusive stands at 3.36, according to the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics. And the breakdown is what you can see in the second paragraph in terms of quarter-on-quarter basis and related quarters. Now breaking through the barriers, which is the subject of this course, because we must break through the barriers to create a new frontier. There are barriers that are existing. Now we must encourage disruptive growth, in which case it can be as it was in the beginning, so shall it be, world without end. We must encourage disruptive growth. Cultural changes, we must reorder our priorities. We must reorder our priorities. Our product offerings must be customer-centric. It's no longer a case of offering what you have, but you must go out to what is needed. We must invest in disrupting our traditional business models. There are established business models, I agree, but this one we must be ready to invest in a manner that will disrupt this to create a new frontiers. Of course, there are issues with legal barriers that prevents the system from the implementation of disruptive technologies and business models. These we must address, and I'm happy that my chairman of the House Committee on Insurance and Actuarial Matters is here. And I'm also happy that something is being done about this. Ladies and gentlemen, we must be able to match current workforce with future mandates. The restructuring and the alignment of our workforce must be such as to be able to meet future challenges, because evidently the challenges are now that we have right now are likely to be different from what we are going to be faced with in the future. And we know the place of labor in a knowledge-based industry like ours. The skill sets that we have now, how far can they take us? In which case, training and retraining must occupy a priority in our plans. Now still looking at the workforce and also looking at the business environment. If we lose the growing generation, the millennials and the Generation Z, from absorbing insurance as necessity, then we will have challenge in breaking into the future. What is ignorable in older generation, most likely, and we know this, is absolutely unacceptable by the growing generation. So we must begin to look and tinker with our business structure and business models. And for the older generation, I guess, we also belong, we must begin to avoid fear-induced transition. Succession planning is imminent for those who have a place in the future. We must pay attention to succession planning. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, I have attempted here to address identifying the new frontiers in our business process. What are the new frontiers in business procurement, in underwriting, in claims, in reinsurance? We will all see that we are living in the age of disruption. At least we have this, and I got this from EY. Ernst & Young. And what he's saying is that the summary of what he's saying here is that essentially only about 10% of market risk is currently insured. So it's not a case of want of businesses, but how to sell the benefits of what we have to offer. And what this means is that the fact that we have low penetration is telling us that there is more grounds to be tilled and there is more harvest to be made. Again, one of the areas through which we can break the barriers and quickly move or prepare for the new frontiers is to avoid too much of reactive thinking. What do I mean by reactive thinking? We must project ahead of our present location and begin to draw models of what is likely to take place. Of course, we knew what happened during the pandemic. Most of the operators were caught panicking when it came. It took some time before some little bit of adjustment, and some are still adjusting till now in our operations. Our business recovery plans, where are they? Those things that will enable us to continue in business if the present status quo is tampered with, where are they? Those are the things that we will begin to look at. We must avoid reactive thinking. I'm happy, and because of the chairman's speech, he did mention the issue of innovation. So I will just mention it in person. We can no longer rely on merely product innovations. What we need to change the model that will enable success. We should not produce except it is connected to what is needed. In which case, right from procurement, we must begin to invest in research. It's no longer a case of turning things around just to offer our products. We must invest substantially in research. What are the requirements? What do people need? Where is it needed? How is it needed? And one assurance I can give you is that the National Insurance Commission will never go against great idea that will create the new frontiers. Let's all come together, look at the ways in which we can create the future for our industry. The time for talent development, for disruptive innovations that will enable us move from or disrupt the status quo is here. We must develop the needed talents. Because we know, just like I said before, not all innovations are disruptive. Some innovations are maintaining the status quo. That is not what we need for the future. We want innovations that are disruptive, that are going to create the needed market that we assist in deepening our market. We may not possibly innovate disruptively without being a disruptor ourselves. You can't give what you don't have. So ourselves, we must have the mindset of a disruptor. And that is what is going to help. technology now is no longer an area of specialization. Technology has become a necessity. It's now an integral part of disruption. We talk of data analytics, the blockchain, digitization, automation, Internet of Things. It's now a matter of necessity for us to learn this and build this as part of our daily business interests. It's not a case, or it is no longer a case of consigning it to a group of people who are specialists in these areas. I'm looking at the new frontiers. Insurers will be facing significant disruptive business models in the near future. We must get ourselves prepared for it. Of course, we need sufficient capital for risk exposed that we're exposed to. In the face of the new frontiers, it is expected that the issue with capital management is conducted in a manner that creates value. It must create value. I quickly look at what the future holds for our underwriting. Definitely there are pressures on underwriting operations in terms of cost-related issues while maintaining improving quality. Those things that we have jettisoned, which is the pre-assessment of risk, can now be done in a better way with the assistance and the deployment of relevant technology. The customer's tastes have changed over time, and it will continue to change. What are we likely to do about this? Of course, we've mentioned technology so much, but what comes with technology is cybersecurity. We must be prepared to deal with this. Of course, related to this is the issue of claims, deployment of drones and other gadgets that will enable us to do a proper recording and documentation for service delivery. We are looking at the new frontiers. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, I will just quickly look at some regulatory reforms that tend to be looking at the future, break the existing barriers, and probably create the new frontiers. Of course, our in-house portal, we've talked so much about this. We are concerned about our service delivery, and that is the push factor for us to focus on this, because we realize that where we're coming from will not be good enough for where we're going. Therefore, this has to be put in place. We also are conscious of the fact that the supply side must be energized. Hence, in the last 1 year or thereabout, we have enhanced the supplies and by inference, the capacity of the market by introducing new operators. Of course, Mr. Chairman of the House Committee on Insurance and Natural Matters, the Right Honorable Darlington, I must quickly say this again, that we are grateful for the interest and tenacity with which you have been pursuing the insurance bill. It is needed, not just for now, but also for the future. That law will create a future for the insurance sector. It will enable the regulator to address issues of concern in the market. Also looking inwards.
CFI, I think we have lost you.
My commissioner, sir, we can't hear you any longer. We have lost your voice. Commissioner, sir, we can't hear you any longer.
Back. Commissioner is back.
The commissioner, sir, why they're working on the voice output of the commissioner? Let me quickly, Commissioner, sir.
George, you can go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. Why we're waiting for the voice from the end of the commissioner? He emphasized on 3 or 4 major things. In the face of new frontiers, we must plan succession, and we must plan succession without fear. The commissioner, are you back, sir? We must project ahead of our current comfort zone. The commissioner, sir, we must be reactive in our thinking. We must be innovative. We must have new innovations that will trigger our industry aggressively and passionately. On this basis, a big thank you to the commissioner. We'll have him back when the mic is better. Can we have the House Committee Chairman back, please? Vega, can you confirm that the House Committee Chairman is right now? Can we have Right Honorable Darlington Nwokocha for his remark? Right Honorable Darlington Nwokocha, can we have you back, sir, for your remarks? While we're waiting for the House Committee Chairman.
No, it's done now.
What do you mean sing? I'm sure it will.
Yeah, the commissioner is back.
Well, so sorry. These are some of the limitations of technology.
You're welcome, sir.
Noted, sir.
So sorry, I think I stopped where I talked about increasing the capacity of the insurance sector.
Yes.
Thank you.
Please. Lipton and green tea. Bring the two.
Of course, I've talked about the insurance bill and the NICOM Academy.
Yes.
I also talked about the corporate governance and the need to put the future in focus. Of course, what we have done also as a regulator in creating a new frontier is to recognize the deficiency in certain skills that will be required for the future. And hence, the Commission is sponsoring candidates to qualify as certified actuarial analysts. 29 persons that have been pre-tested will be writing the exam sometimes this May. All expenses are paid for by the Commission. The Commission is creating the platform for growth and development of the insurance industry. Therefore, all stakeholders, we are employing all stakeholders to maximize the opportunities inherent in new change, shifts in risk landscapes, and deconstruction of the economy. Our economy now is shifting from oil dependent to non-oil sector. There is a lot of diversification that is going on. Let us see the extent. If the managers of our economy are looking into the future, please let's tag along or go ahead of them. We must revisit and consider adjustment of strategies in order to accommodate emerging realities. There are things that we can see from afar. Let's prepare for them today. Invest in technology and manpower development. I have mentioned this severally. Encourage intelligent innovations, and that is what I called before disruptive innovation. Our claims management can no longer wait for all the time that we presently deploy. It is not going to fit into the future. We must improve the methodology and the way and manner in which underwriting is done. We must strengthen our digital disruption channels. For us in the Commission, we are already looking at some other distribution channels that will assist the market. One cap fits all will no longer hold for the future. Tailor-made products we do. My final line. The regulatory landscape will continue to evolve in response to the changes in the business environment. The following regulations are intended to align practices with new realities and possibly future realities. I've mentioned the issue of corporate governance guidelines, the risk-based supervision framework, and the own risk solvency assessment by individual companies, the framework for solvency control and intervention levels, revised market conduct guidelines, including claims management, sustainability framework for the insurance institutions, insurance industry IT framework, and cyber risk and security framework. All these we must have a definite policy statement. I mean, us at different levels that is going to create that needed future. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, we want to be reminded that we had on this platform hinted that the future ahead is not detached from what we have incepted to do in breaking new frontiers in our today's actions. It is therefore worthy to reiterate that today may not necessarily be a discontinuance of yesterday, but instructively a new beginning to navigate through the intrinsic disruptive future. The new frontiers may herald some disruptive developments and challenges for the Nigerian insurance industry. There's nothing to fear about. But most importantly, however, it affords Nigerian insurance industry new vista of opportunities to innovate, digitize, and to reinvent itself by leveraging on technology to improve service delivery and ultimately improve trust and confidence, which is going to determine how far we can go in the future. Thank you very much, and God bless.
Thank you very much, our commissioner. Thank you for your time. Thank you for going into details, and thank you for leading us in these new frontiers and projecting a future for the industry. We thank you for the energy. We thank you for everything you put into the industry and your sacrifices. We will always come back again to call upon you. Thank you so much. On this basis, we want to go back to the item before the Commissioner for Insurance, that is the remark by Honorable Darlington Nwokota, the Chairman Committee on Insurance and Actuarial. That Honorable Darlington, do we have you, sir? Right, Honorable Darlington, please, you have the floor. Grega, can you confirm to me if right, Honorable Darlington Nwokota? Honorable, you're welcome, sir. You have the floor, sir. You're still muted, sir. Okay. Wait, can you let me look into this? Honorable Darlington is still not audible. We can still hear Honorable Darlington. We can still hear you, sir. We're going to seek the permission of Honorable Darlington again. Is the House Committee Chairman.
No, hold on for a minute. Hold on for a minute.
We'll get him to speak to us. My Honorable Sir, can we still seek your permission to move to the next item? Which is the remark of the Speaker. Honorable, do I have your permission, sir?
Can we hold on for him for a few seconds?
Hold on.
I'm talking to him.
Okay. Sincere apology to all attendants. Honorable Darlington will be with us shortly. Why we're still waiting for Honorable Darlington, in order for us to save time, I've put the profile, the executive profile, the summary profile of the lead speaker, Dr. Femi Oyetunji, and the three panelists, Mrs. Ekioma Ezeibe, Mrs. Rashidat Adebisi, and Sir Mufta Oyegunle. I put it on the chat platform. We can go through their profile. This will save us some minutes out of the spent time. Can you go through their profiles on the chat platform, please? Do we have Honorable Darlington now? Boyega, can you confirm back to me?
Okay, hold on.
While we're waiting for Honorable Darlington, immediately after him, we'll be having the lead speaker, Dr. Femi Oyetunji. Come on. Boyega, I think we should take the lead speaker while we come back to Honorable Darlington. Thank you. We will be going straight to take the lead speaker. Like I said, I've put the profile of Dr. Femi Oyetunji onto the chat platform for us to read. Nevertheless, Dr. Femi Oyetunji holds a PhD in statistics from the University of Manchester Institute of Science and Technology, England, in 1980. A Master of Science, MSc degree in statistics from Imperial College, London, 1977, and a Bachelor of Science, BSc First Class Honors degree in Statistics and Operational Research from the University of Manchester, Institute of Science and Technology, England, in 1976. While we go through his other profiles on the platform, Dr. Oyetunji is a fellow of the Institute of Actuaries, United Kingdom, and has attended several management development programs locally and overseas. He's married with 2 children. He loves reading, traveling, and table tennis. Dr. Femi Oyetunji, you have the floor, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The president of Lagos Chamber of Commerce, Mrs. Mabugunje, with your permission, and following the standard that I've always tried to emulate by our own doing of the insurance industry, Olola Olabode Ogunlano, permit me to stand on existing protocol to save time and also to maximize the few minutes that I've been given to speak. But I must thank Boyga and the Insurance Trade Group of LCCI for the privilege given to me to be the lead speaker for this year's forum. It's a privilege that I do not take lightly. I don't know how I can be a lead speaker when Olola Ogunlano is around, and I can also assure you, ladies and gentlemen, that I'm going to be even shorter in my presentation, because what I'm just going to do is follow the good book that says, out of the mouth of 2 or 3 shall a matter be established. Everything that I will wish to share this morning has been touched upon by Olola Ogunlano and our own commissioner, Mr. OST. So, statistics and research shows also that the attention span for virtual meetings is actually only 7 minutes. In that case, I will want to start with the conclusion of my presentation this morning. Breaking new frontiers is a state of mind, not something you do occasionally or you wake up one morning and decide to do. It is not a eureka moment. A new frontier means nobody has been there before. So it takes a mindset that wakes up every morning thinking, how do I push the boundaries? How do I do something differently? How do I reshape the future? You cannot break new frontiers by doing the same thing over and over again. You cannot do the same thing over and over again and expect a different or new outcome. Be that as it may, year 2020 was a year like no other. It's what in actuarial language we call 1 in 100. There was downturn in all the economies around the globe. But surprisingly, or not surprisingly, several companies prospered greatly during the pandemic. We now all talk about Zoom. We talk about Google. Zoom and Google are no longer nouns. They've become verbs. I Googled it. let's Zoom tomorrow. Everybody knows what Google is. Everybody knows what Zoom is. Everybody is using Microsoft Teams. So it's clear that whether we're ready or not, whether we're prepared or not, it is no longer business as usual. Because 2020 was a year that demonstrated the preparedness meeting opportunities. So those that were prepared prospered. Some unfortunately went under. But things are totally different and we cannot go back to the old ways. So what it takes for each one of us to do is that we must envision what life is going to be in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years. Without doing that, we will quickly and rapidly become obsolete. Let me give you an example of my experience at Continental from where I retired on the 31st of March this year. And let me abuse my privilege and remind Olola that we will be coming back to him for mentoring program that was suspended years ago. Because out of those meetings, that some of the things I put in practice as a leader, as the CEO, came about. And when it took over at Continental in 2011, we had offices across the continent. We had people of different backgrounds from across different nations. And for me, it's always been that there's only one company, only one Continental Re. So if you're doing an assignment, performing an assignment for the whole group, to me, it didn't matter where you sat. My first appointment was the head of communications in Nairobi, based in Nairobi. Year in, year out, it was so difficult to get everybody to imbibe that concept of it does not matter where you are sat, you belong to Continental Re. But guess what happened? Pandemic hit. All the things that were put in place, everything came together. We worked seamlessly, and it then reemphasized that the fact that you're not in a particular physical location is irrelevant. Ladies and gentlemen, we must think ahead and we must plan, envision the future. For us to break new frontiers in the insurance industry, there are three basic things that we need, we require. And as I said, most of these things have been discussed, so I'm going to be brief. Number one is diversification. We must diversify products, we must diversify markets, age groups. We focus so much on corporates in Nigeria that when it's not surprising that we're not breaking new frontiers. We must distribute our products easily. People must have easy access to our products or services, because that is what people want these days. And technology, I'm going to come back again and again on technology. We must use technology to drive diversification and to drive distribution. What is certain now, Chairman, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, is the future in our industry, as in other industries, the future is digital. we cannot break new frontiers in the insurance industry without employing technology, which means the digitalization. I won't go to to discuss big data and all that, but it is important for us to put technology at the forefront. I was speaking last year at the annual conference of the chief information officers of the insurance industry, and my challenge to them was that they have to move from the back seat to the front seat, because technology is not an enabler. Technology is a driver in our industry. And until we're able to achieve that, then it is going to be difficult to break new frontiers. When I returned to this country in 1992 to join the insurance industry, all I could hear the potential of insurance, the potential of insurance. 30 years later, we're still talking about the potential of insurance. But guess what? The environment today is totally different from the environment 30 years ago. What I'm particularly excited about when I read the newspapers or catch up on information, I'm really excited about the prominent fintech industry that has emerged in Nigeria. I believe as insurers, we must look at that space and see what we can learn from these youngsters that are doing great things on global standard. Now, what must we have in place for us to reshape the future of insurance industry in Nigeria? Because I guess all of us, including my Honorable Commissioner for Insurance, all of us are displeased about the state of the insurance industry. So I like to look at 5 or 6 things that we must have in place for us to be able to reshape the future of insurance and be able to break new frontiers. I'm not going to go into insurance penetration products. I'm just going to speak generally, and then we can discuss around the topics. Number 1, we must have a total paradigm shift in our thought process. What worked 30 years ago, yes, it could have been successful. It does not mean we should continue with it. I'm sure I'm going to tell this story poorly, but I understand there was a young woman that got married, and all the time she was growing up, saw the way his mother, her mother, prepared lamb roast for the family. And she thought that it was because of the way she prepared the lamb roast. That was why it tasted so well. The mother will cut both ends of the lamb and put in the oven. So this woman got married and continued the same practice. The mother one day visited and saw her cutting off the ends of the lamb, and she shouted, "Why are you eating good meat?" And the young woman said to her mother, "That's how you've always done it, yeah, and I believe that's why you got the outcome." The mother said to her, "No, I cut off the ends because we had a small oven. Now you have a big oven, you didn't need to do the same thing." So we must have a total change in our thinking. It's worked for a century. Even if it worked, did not mean that that was the best or most optimal approach to that issue at hand. The demography has changed, and the thinking also because of our experiences, because of where we are. The thought process is totally different. People that were between the ages of 20 and 40, 30 years ago, may have faced the same pressures with people between the ages of 20 and 40 now, because you have to insure your car, you have to protect your assets, you have to pay school fees. So the pressures are similar, but the thought process of a 20 to 40-year-old man or woman today, it's totally and absolutely different from how we thought when we were that age group 30 years ago. 30 years ago, permit me, Honorable Commissioner, to disclose this. At ICO, where both of us were working then, the 3-payment plan, I won't go into details, was the best seller. Now, let me give you another example of how things have changed. Before I left for the UK, I took a 10-year endowment plan, again with ICO. Came back in 92, the 10,000 naira, which was 10,000 pounds then. And I had the vision of using it to send my children to school and all that. 1993, when that policy matured and I collected my 10,000 naira, it was just adequate to take my wife out to a fine dinner meal. Inflation, devaluation really wiped out the value of the policy. Now, 30 years ago, we saw that problem. Devaluation, inflation. I'm talking about when I was at ICO with a Honorable Commissioner for Insurance. We started, we developed a product, ICO Managed Investment Fund. It was a unitized investment portfolio, which was supposed to be a forerunner to equity-linked products. We then moved on to develop a 10-year dollar-linked product to address the situations that we saw there. Of course, there are many problems. We didn't have dollars, no easy access to dollars to back assets, to back the liabilities. I'm sure the younger ones may not remember, but then it took you a month to sell your shares because you had to take a certificate somewhere. It is authorized before, and then by the time you got your money, things that are moved on. Yes, there were problems, but if we had kept a mindset of continuously looking at new frontiers, break in boundaries, then we wouldn't have given up. Why am I saying all this? We had these things 30 years ago. We're still facing the same environmental issues today. I almost fell off my seat at a meeting 2 weeks ago, not at ICO, another company, when I heard that 3-payment plan policy was still the best seller by far, that it was even to the extent that it was creating concentration problem. Why then are we surprised that we don't have enough insurance penetration? It's less than 1%. We have no justification for it. I'll come back to cryptocurrency and all the other things that are happening that we could have, if we had maintained the idea of pushing boundaries, we shouldn't be where we are today. Again, ladies and gentlemen, I repeat, breaking new frontiers, it's a mindset. It's continuously pushing boundaries. It's not a webinar. It's not a strategy session. It is continuous. Number two, quickly, let me look at technology. This, for me, is the greatest area of concern. I have the privilege of chairing the IT committee, advisory committee of the Council of NI. So I participated in some of the meetings of the IT practitioners of the various companies. Of course, different levels of IT maturity in the various companies, but it's unfortunate. Let me use the word that some companies still think that putting a desktop in your office is a status symbol. I can't even remember the last time that I saw a desktop. We didn't have much time. I wouldn't go into some of my experiences at Continental, but let me quote Steve Jobs, the co-founder of Apple. He once said, Apple is about people who think outside the box, mindset. People who want to use computers to help them change the world, to help create things that make a difference, not just to get the job done. So we must apply technology to remove some of the limitations that is preventing us from breaking new boundaries. We all charge annual premiums. It's even difficult to pay those premiums. It's difficult to collect those premiums. Today, people are paying for service. I want to travel to Ibadan from Lagos. I want to take an insurance just for that purpose. So we have a lot of things that we can do. As Steve Jobs said.
1 minute, sir. Doctor, thank you. You will continue just to the other panelists and the members, the participants. I want to seek the indulgence of the participants that we're working so hard to finish by 12:30. But in case we don't finish by 12:30, we'll plead to take a maximum of 10 minutes or additional of your time. Thank you. While we are rounding up on Doctor's presentation. Doctor, so sorry for interrupting. You can continue while you round up, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay. So we need to use technology to solve our problems. We have all the fintech companies in Nigeria. We have Paystack, we have Flusterway, Transact. Where are the insurtechs to provide solutions for insurance problems? Number three, people. We must have the right skills. We need engineers to be able to address issues of bridges, even of ordinary buildings. We need actuaries, we need doctors, we need economists within industry. My key interest is actually also bringing Nigerians in diaspora back to this country so that they can share their experiences. We need to refresh their industry for us to be able to break new frontiers. Research and development, it's not something you do occasionally. It is, you cannot think when you have a KPI of meeting a sales target. Let me give you an example of my favorite company, Apple, again. In 2007, Apple spent $782 million on research and development. That was 10% of its profit for that year. Apple became so successful. Well, guess what Apple did? In 2020, Apple spent $18.75 billion on research, which was 18% of its profit. So the more successful it became, the more it saw that it required more to spend more on research. One thing that breaks my heart is in this country is when we see such huge economic losses and very little insured losses. Annually, we have floods and we see people being wiped out annually. Number one, what are we doing in terms of sustainability? What are we doing to support the United Nations Environmental Program principles of science, of principles of sustainable insurance? More importantly, where are the flood maps? Where are the price models? So that we can provide what these poorer people, what they need, not what we have. Finally, Mr. Commissioner, thank you for the repeated use of the word disruption. So I'm going to say this. Industry can only break through new frontiers for as much as our regulator allows us. So you must allow us to make mistakes. You must be flexible in the approach of regulating us. Otherwise, those disruptive innovations that you mentioned in your paper, it cannot happen. I'm sure, ladies and gentlemen, you're aware of the M-Pesa story, the mobile money in Kenya. When that started, the Kenya's central bank did not have regulations or laws to regulate it. An approach could have been, no, that is not allowed, and that initiative will have been killed. But it's, okay, take time, 2 weeks later, come back, we'll review. That was how regulation around mobile money started in Kenya. So, Commissioner, sir, thank you very much for your attitude and your forward thinking. We will need it for us to be able to break new frontiers in this industry.
Thank you so much, Doctor.
But let me close. We have no choice. We have no choice. We have to innovate or die. Our industry is at crossroads. We are being left behind. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Dr. Oyetunji. Thank you for your presentation. Very comprehensive. We appreciate you a lot. I believe there will be questions for you after all the sessions put together. Why Mrs. Ekioma, the panelist, starting with Mrs. Ekioma Ezebe, is getting ready. A few things that we'll pick out of Dr. Oyetunji's presentation. Breaking new barriers is a state of mind that is set of pushing boundaries. It means nobody has been there before. You have to think new. The new frontiers will become verb from now when it's so active. The emphasis is on mentorship. We cannot break new frontiers without technology, which is the driver. On this note, we say thank you to you, sir. And we go straight to the panelists. Each panelist have a maximum of 10 minutes to make their presentation. Like I said earlier, the profile of all the panelists has been placed on the chat platform to save time. Mrs. Ekioma Izebe is a master holder, a degree holder in law. She's currently the
you may want to call the chairman of the committee now.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Before going into the Honorable Darlington Nwakocha available now. Wega, can you confirm that to me, please?
Yes,
the House Committee.
By the chatting, he's ready.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you are the
Officer. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yes,
we can hear you, sir. Thank you. Yeah, I want to sincerely thank the organizers of this brainstorming session. Very, very warm, and which is breaking new frontiers. It's a very highly welcome one as well. But I think I will speak from the legislative platform to give a little input on this section. First and foremost, when we talk about frontiers, that's barriers. What was the old frontier? What was the old barrier? Have we been able to identify those old barriers? Because it must be in front of us at all times for us to be able to now appreciate what the upcoming frontiers will be. Because as the person in charge of insurance affairs in the House of Representatives, I know I've carried out several investigative hearings on certain
I think I hear you.
Honorable Darlington Nwakocha, we can hear you again, sir. Well, I think those are the challenges we have when we are on platforms like this. It will keep getting better.
No, he's muted. Can you ask him to unmute?
Honorable Nwakocha, can you unmute, please? Honorable Nwakocha, can you unmute, please?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah,
While we'll still go back to him, maybe towards the end of the program. We plead with him to still stay around with us. We'll go straight to the panelist session. We have 3 panelists. We have Mrs. Ekioma Izebe, the MD CEO of Crystal Trust Insurance Brokers Limited. We have Mrs. Rashidat Adebisi, the Chief Client Officer, Azad Mansad. And we have Sir Mufta Oyegunle, the President, Chartered Insurance Institute of Nigeria. We're going to start with Mrs. Ekioma Izebe. I plead with all the panelists to please allow members to go through their profile as I put it on the chat platform. Mrs. Ekioma Izebe, you have the floor. You have 10 minutes. Thank you. You have the floor, ma'am.
Thank you, moderator. May I start by thanking the president of LCCI, Mrs. Mabogunju, and of course, the doyen of the insurance industry, our father, Olola Ogulano, and our commissioner for insurance, Mr. Sunday Thomas, and not ignoring the respected chairman of the House of Representatives on Insurance and Actuarial Matters, Right Honorable Darlington Wokocha. When Commissioner presented his paper, as expected, all of us listened intently. And when he said increase in distribution channel, and then he also went on to say that it is no longer going to be one size fits all. As an insurance broker, those struck my chord. And that's where I intend to start commenting on now. And indeed, if we are to grow our market and contribute appreciably towards the gross domestic product of the economy, we can no longer run away from the implementation and achievement of the long talked about twin issues of insurance penetration and enforcement of compulsory insurance. Even though the initial attempt to achieve these through the state insurance producers' guidelines by the regulator suffered a setback, the entire insurance industry, including indeed the insurance broker who kicked against the guidelines, are very much in agreement with the regulator on the need to achieve both objectives, but differ on the modalities for their achievement. But I, however, hasten to advise that the regulator should not be in a hurry to introduce their implementation, especially with the aspect of the much industry talked about involvement of governments, especially in the states, into an arrangement which I may respectfully describe as bringing in strange bedfellows into the practice, especially broken, without thoroughly thinking it through. It will be unhelpful if, while trying to sort out issues, the new ones spring up that may even be more difficult to resolve. While I agree that for issues to be successfully implemented, the buying of state governments who have powers of enforcement may be leveraged on, and to make the idea sellable to them, the content of internally generated revenue may be incorporated. It is, however, my opinion that the regulator, in order to achieve the best outcomes, should create an ad hoc committee of the representatives of all the stakeholders in the industry, with NICOM, of course, chairing it, in order to arrive within a certain time frame, with the regulator thereafter drafting guidelines for their implementation. May I respectfully state that the regulator must not see this suggestion or move as being weak or ceding part of its powers to the operators, but it is indeed pragmatism at its finest and will achieve a fantastic outcome. Moreover, it is crucial for professionalism not to be sacrificed at the altar of breaking new frontiers that may not stand the test of time. On the issue of the Nigerian insurance industry, taking advantage of emerging markets to break new frontiers, which will, at the end of the day, increase our input into the GDP. The incorporation and licensing of TACAFO, and especially micro insurance companies, while commendable, have not quite been deepened. It is my humble submission that what may be obtainable and successful in one insurance market may not necessarily be successful if implemented the same way in another. While microinsurance may have worked successfully in some markets, it has not attained its potential in the Nigerian insurance market. To my mind, the challenge of stringent regulatory condition of the application for fresh licenses by insurance companies, specifically for that purpose, might have militated against its successful entrenchment in our market. Because the income is very low and takes a long time before its impact is felt. Insurance companies and brokers alike do not see the need for insurers to inject a separate capital layout to obtain separate licenses in order to foray into the underwriting of this line of business. Even though insurance brokers do not need new licenses to play in this market, they're not having choice underwriters who are already licensed to transact this line of business has somewhat been discouraging. It is my opinion that the underwriters should not need new licenses to take full advantage of these emerging markets. They can open more branches based on their existing licenses and underwrite them as new products. This will greatly help the industry to attain its full potentials in these emerging markets. As already canvassed by insurance brokers over the years, the insurance broking subsector of our industry needs to be fully professionalized as in other jurisdictions, especially the United Kingdom that has persuasive authority on the Nigerian market. To continue to license insurance brokers as limited liability companies is erroneous and unhelpful to the industry, as other professionals are not registered as such, but in their natural names. Achieving the full professionalization of insurance brokers will ensure that only professional insurance brokers who are seasoned and qualified to so practice will no doubt enhance the breaking of new frontiers in the industry. It will be very helpful if insurance brokers are granted licenses like our other counterparts over the world over, granted life licenses, I mean, like our other counterparts the world over. While we commend the effort of NICOM on the increase of our annual licenses to biannual, a lot has got to be done by the granting of life licenses to brokers in order to engender confidence in the operators that they are in business for the long haul. It makes for better planning and boosts an operator's zeal to break into new frontiers, knowing that there are lesser hurdles to cross, including an unwarranted administrative burden, both for brokers and the regulator of biannual licensing regime. And then I wonder, could it then be that it is loss of revenue that might be a possible fallout of the life license that may be giving the regulator cold feet to accede to this request? There are some ingenious measures that the regulator can use to take care of this, probably by introducing annual license retention fee, which will take care of the same way, which will be taking care of the same way our insurance special supervisory fund levies and other returns are paid and made at their due time. The licenses, whether life or not, are ultimately the property of the regulator, who has the power to issue and to cancel. It is important that while making plans for the breaking of new frontiers, insurance professionals are trained and retrained to continually fit their roles. The Nigerian Council of Registered Insurance Brokers, NCRIB, therefore has over the years placed premium on training and manpower development of its members, so as to ensure that registered insurance brokers are well equipped with the desired knowledge to practice professionally. They have continued to partner with the regulator and the Chartered Insurance Institute of Nigeria to train its members. Over the years, the Council has been in serious talks with the Institute on the inclusion of some insurance broking courses in the curriculum of their associateship qualifying examinations and have now intensified the talks. And then there's no way we're going to talk about breaking new frontiers without talking about the effect of the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic. And it has railroaded us to change most of the ways we hitherto operated. The online deployment of our businesses, including meetings and trainings, have come to mostly stay, even post-COVID-19. The pandemic has hastened our breaking the frontiers and embracing information technology as the mode of operation far earlier than we all anticipated. No matter the disruption to the operation, no matter the disruption to the broker's operation, and even existential threat that insurtechs may pose, the niche the niche space that insurance brokers serve is protected by irreplaceable value to customers' peace of mind. As alternatives emerge, brokers will need to be introspective and identify specific ways which our roles add unique value to our customers. We therefore, like the Doyen himself had advised us earlier, must be innovative, resourceful, aggressive about our marketing strategies in order to penetrate the underserved. And we must also embark seriously on mentoring the younger ones so that they can match their fluid ideas with our wisdom. While leaving my distinguished colleague and fellow panelist, Rashidat, to do justice on issues concerning insurance, may I state that it will be helpful for all concerned in the industry issues raised by underwriters on the way for the achievement of the current increase in their share capital to be seriously looked into by the regulator so that this very all-important hurdle can be crossed in due time, and attention therefore fully focused on the breaking of new frontiers. I must commend the regulator on their market development approach to regulation of insurance institutions. It is a forward-looking approach with dividends, I believe, is already manifesting. It is crucial that they sustain this approach so as to consolidate its gains, which would include the breaking of new frontiers for the entire insurance industry. If we are, however, to be sure-footed in our new frontiers breaking quest, the instrumentality of the law must be used. We believe that most of our quest, while not having the solution, all the solutions in the hands of our regulator, it will be solved through the consolidated insurance bill, which is currently in the works. May I therefore recognize the hard work of the House of Representatives Committee Chairman on Insurance and Actuarial Matters, chaired by the respectable Right Honorable Darlington Wokocha, who is sponsoring the Consolidated Insurance Bill as a private member's bill. The entire Nigerian insurance industry is waiting, honorable, with bated breath at the outcome of your committee's collective work, which your committee have graciously made our collective work. We hope for and look forward to the passing and the signing of the bill finally into law, which will give our sector more impetus to achieve more. Thank you very much, distinguished ladies and gentlemen.
We're losing you. Mrs. Ekema.
Yes, please. Hello.
Well, it appears the moderator.
It appears what?
May I also request at this point that we bring in Honorable Darlington.
Hello, once again, Mrs. Ekema Ezebe, the MD CEO, Crystal Trust Insurance Brokers Limited, and a member of the governing board of the Nigerian Council of Registered Insurance Brokers. We thank you so much for your presentation. While we are waiting to take on the second panelist, Mrs. Rashidat Adebisi, the Chief Client Officer for ASA Mansard, we want to thank Right Honorable Darlington Nwokocha for all his consistent effort in speaking to us. And I want to assure him that the moment is ready, the moment is available, we will take him immediately. We thank you for your patience and we look forward to hearing you speak to us. Thank you. I would like to call on Mrs. Rashidat at DBC. Mrs. Rashidat at DBC is the Chief Client Officer Assam Mansard. Our profile is also on the platform. You have the floor, madam. Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon to everyone. I stand on all existing protocols, and thanks for the opportunity to just, air my own opinion and some of my views of the market. It's always a good opportunity when you are not the first person to speak. You are able to leverage on a lot of all the conversations, and hopefully you might not be the one shaking the table significantly. But today, I haven't listened to all the key speakers. First of all, of course, our doyen in the industry, as well as the regulator, and the first few speakers here today. I think that I would try my best not to repeat a lot of the things that has been said. But when we're talking about breaking new frontiers, I will just try and simplify my view as an insurer. I've not been lucky to work in the industry for as long as some of the people on this call, and of course, some of the first set of speakers, but perhaps I spend a little bit of time as well in the industry. And I can almost go back to about 16 years ago or so when I started in the industry, and when the conversation was about the opportunities that are in this industry, the potential that the industry has. And that, of course, excited me a lot. And I felt this might be a place to grow and to contribute significantly. But over the last 16 years, I've seen a lot more talking than the actual doing. Sometimes it's not because of the lack of interest in the doing. What I've seen is that many things have held us back. I feel maybe perhaps we have been moving past some of the frontiers. The question is whether we conquer those frontiers at those times or we just let it pass us by. But you never lose. The question is, from today, do we want to make a difference? And if we want to make a difference, the frontiers have to be conquered by human beings first. So I would like to touch a little bit on the people. When we talk about the ability for us to actually attract, and get the right sort of talents, I feel that has been a bit of a problem. People don't wake up and say, I want to buy insurance today. And the industry itself doesn't seem to be very, I like to use the word, it's not sexy, it's not exciting. And therefore, if we're trying to attract talents and we're trying to make sure that we attract people in the connected, in the connected generation, these are not the people who are going to go to the golf club to play golf. They might watch football, by the way, but definitely golf is not the first thing on their minds. So if we want to actually get this talent, how are we positioning ourselves as an industry? How do we ensure that people are interested in either being, a broker or being an insurer or being even in the other ecosystem like a loan adjuster or to work even in NICOM? So there's a dire need for us to, first of all, bring in a lot of freshness into the industry, people with different mindset, different skills. And if I might say to our regulators, perhaps, the need for us to simplify the requirements to be someone in the industry. Like Dr. Etunji said, you need doctors, you need specialists, you need asset managers, people of high skill sets. But if the rule is that you can only rise to the top, if you're an insurer or you have a particular certification, then we're denying ourselves of the opportunity and the talents that we have. So that's the very first step, attracting, retaining, and exciting this talent so that they bring their thinking, their challenging mindset to the industry to help us to capture the opportunities that we are working by, because the frontier keeps moving. There are new frontiers every time. It's an infinite world we're in. So this time we're all here. In another few decades, God willing, there will be people there. So what do we do when we are there? How do we take charge? We've talked about disruption. I love the point from the commissioner on disruption, but the disruption comes not just from the insurance companies alone or the brokerage industry alone or sector, but must come even from NICOM employees too. What are we doing to ensure that all the people across this area, their mindset is changed, they understand what's happening out there, they explore. Many people cannot imagine these things. They can only see what they know. If I've worked in NICOM for the last 15 or 16 years, I've never run a company. I haven't faced the challenges that the economy is putting on the table of an actively, engaged broker, insurer, adjuster. I cannot even envisage what they're going through every day. So how do you really get yourself into this mindset and walk their path? If we don't do this, we come up with new laws, new rules, and of course, we're very grateful of the honorable here, but we come up with things that, that truly doesn't really apply. I saw one example that was talked about, the new rules around microinsurance, the new rules on Takafu. I worked in a company that was interested in Takafu, but the moment we were told go and set up a new company, we did the analysis and we said, it will not be financially viable for us to set up a different company for this right now. But what happened? We prioritized and we chose not to go that way. What has happened to those who have done it? I guess the numbers will tell us whether it has been successful or not. Microinsurance, we had people who got licenses, they started. We had maybe 16 odd companies and people were, perhaps, quickly gathering momentum. And then we got a new regulation, set up a new company. Many people just said no, because when you weigh it, you have to look at it from a financial perspective and from other factors as an organization. If we're raising capital to 18 billion, and thanks to the regulator, they actually changed that rule sometime, I think at the end of last year. Unfortunately, the ship had sailed. Many people have found a new way to reconfigure and move around. We're not as connected as we need to be. Connected not just as a company, but as an industry. During the lockdown, we still had many people saying, come and sign the slips. And my people are afraid, or my team member could be thinking, I'm a vulnerable person, I have asthma, I have this, I don't want to go out. So why are we still waiting and thinking that we must still sign physical slips? Can we not create a new document signed solutions that the industry needs to work on to be connected? It could even be done from either in a collaborative way from NIA, so it's cheaper for all of us. It could be done in a different way. We need to be connected because this generation is constant. If you buy airtime and you don't see the credit on your phone in 5 minutes, 5 minutes is too long. So why must we all wait for so long to pass a piece of paper and perhaps risk ourselves when we can see that, COVID has really, really changed it? So this connection, I feel, is still a big part of driving and breaking this barrier, because it's something we can do. It's not because we don't see it. We're probably doing it in our own organizations, but why can't we just work together as an industry? There seems to be that bit of restraints. Maybe perhaps the goals in every organization is different, but if we're in this sector together and we want it to be successful, one thing I can assure you is that 0.35% penetration, it definitely will grow 10 times. But that 10 times could be captured by us or could be captured by other people. So the question is whether we want to be the ones to capture it. And that will take me to the point on collaboration. I know we have limited time. Collaboration is essential. Collaboration means that don't lock yourself in your space. Don't say that, and forgive me, this is my personal opinion, I'm a broker, so I don't want you to speak to my customer. No, the customers might want to experience their service in a different way. You must find a way to work together, because when you close yourself in a corner, you lock yourself away from opportunities. Even as insurers, how do we step outside our normal processes? How do we ensure that we take that leap to take over and take over this barrier that we have today? And I would also like to talk about value. Value is what we create. People are just not seeing our value. Like the example given, I like to talk about fires. There are market fires, there are different fires. When they happen, all we hear is that the government has contributed, the state governors, this has happened. Perhaps even sometimes the honorables themselves, they actually donate a portion of their salary to help people. But is this what should be happening? We are here. It's a very noble profession. And what are we meant to do to help people during unexpected periods? We can actually address these needs, but we haven't been able to communicate our value because they have not seen us in action. And this COVID period was really the first time that we did some interesting things, but we haven't even made enough noise about what we did. We haven't leveraged on it to push ourselves forward, to take over this frontier that the opportunity that was given to us. The president mentioned the industry. Everyone contributed. It wasn't just insurers. There were brokers. There were, other people. But we haven't just leveraged it because we don't seem to be used to leveraging. We don't know how to perhaps, push ourselves forward. Some people like to compare us and say that, if you schooled in America, there's a way they talk about themselves and, blow themselves. That's the slang they use this. We talk about what they're doing. Unfortunately, we came from a generation where, when your yam is cooking, you cover it. it, you know, if you understand the Yoruba. I don't want to go for any proverbs with my elders very much here, but we're sort of used to covering what we're doing, not exposing and expanding it. So what do we do to take this forward? The insurtechs, everyone is saying, what's happening to insurtechs? Insurtechs are here. We already have the platform. We have started with the NIID. Can we evolve it into a bigger platform? There are some, you know, industries, the FinTech Association, which, you know, I've been an opportunity to be a member of, is being driven by the banks. So we also have an insurtech platform. Some young people have come up with the idea. We should just leverage on that and grow it. We should invest some of our new capital to actually drive the insurtechs ourselves. We have the power to do so. We don't need anyone to do that. I like to crack a joke that, you know, there's no salvation out there. We are our own salvation. We can make this change. And for me, I think we've gotten to a point where talking about it might not be enough, but actually acting, taking small steps. If you're afraid to take a big step together, let's take small steps. Involve our.
We're losing you.
Hello, can you still hear me? This might be network.
Hello. Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, so I was saying that we need to take small steps and collaborate together by funding ecosystem improvements, accelerator programs that would ensure that the industry can actually benefit. As companies, we already have needs. As brokers, you also need to be connected as a loss adjuster. The quality cannot, it has to be extended and end-to-end enjoyment of the journey. So when we talk about technology is just a small part of it, right? Technology comes from, there are digital journeys, there are user experiences, there are new terminologies you've not even heard about. So can you afford to go it alone? Maybe companies with billions of naira of capital could actually, and maybe the top brokers could actually invest in some of these solutions, but not everybody will be able to. And when it comes to, you know, digital and to the evolution, I'm sorry, it's not about your friend or who you know, or a big man or a big white elephant project. It's about the people with the knowledge, the mind, the solution that actually crack it. And so this is where we need to remove our friendships and, you know, any sort of nepotism and truly go for people who bring value to the table for us. You know, solutions that work, applications, web apps, you know, all sorts of other solutions. Why must people come to your brokerage firm or to the insurance firm to sit down with you and talk you through? Can you engage with them in a much more, you know, interesting manner? These are big questions that can really help us to jump over this barrier. And I'm going to start rounding down because I can see myself, them looking at me. But there's a syndrome I learned about recently. It's called the broken window syndrome. The broken window syndrome. And what does this mean? You know, it's like when a window breaks in the house, it just cracks. You say, it's a small one, let's leave it. And there's a small problem in the industry. Someone does something wrong. It's not a problem. Don't worry, it's my friend. Let's leave it. Before you know what's happening, all the windows are cracked. You no longer see. You are not able to create the standard. And what happens? Value is eroded. We don't actually get the value. So what are we going to do differently? I think we have an opportunity to collaborate together to really take charge of the frontiers of today, because frontiers will keep coming. How are we going to take charge today? We can. We just need to remove a lot of all those lines, remove your thoughts around who is younger, who is older, who is more experienced in the industry, who has what insurance certification, and truly find people who have the mind, the interest, and the ability to bring the right solutions that will help us to conquer the industry. And like, I'll stop by saying that, you know, are we truly ready for the future? Because this future is already going to happen, whether we want it or not. The industry will grow by 10 times, but you might not be there. Gary Hamel says, and one of my, you know, very big mentors in the industry likes to talk about Gary Hamel a lot. There is a bullet with the name of your company written on it, you know, that's going to disrupt it. So there's a bullet with the industry literally written on it. Are we going to take charge or shoot the bullet ourselves and make it work? I think that is going to be essential. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mrs. Rashida Adebisi. That is deep. I thank you. I thank Mrs. Ekoma once again. You're the first two panelists. We'll be having the last panelist. But before then, we want to see if we can take Honorable Darlington Unwakocha. It has been all about proverbs today, starting from Olola and now Mrs. Rashida. And I want to say in Yoruba, that is Mr. and Honorable Darlington, the big masquerade at the last value. Before we have the last panelist, let us try to see if we can have Honorable Darlington Unwakocha on to speak with us. Honorable, can we have you, sir?
Yeah, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I think this thing has really kept coming up and going. But I'm notwithstanding, I want to thank the organizers of this. I want to thank the commissioner who is doing his best, despite operating with laws that are quite moderate. He said that success depends on cooperation.
You're not audible enough, sir.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you, but you're not audible enough.
Is it audible now?
Yeah, better, sir.
Okay. So I say I want to thank also the doing of the industry that said that success depends on cooperation. So I think what we are doing today is to drive that cooperation that is most needed. First and foremost, I just want to say, talk about the topic, breaking new frontiers. It's a very good one. Like I said earlier, for us to talk about new frontiers, we must identify the old boundaries. Because when the old boundaries are before us, we can appreciate what the new frontiers we're looking out for, what it looks like, and how we can identify it. Somebody said here that we may even stumble on those boundaries without identifying that those boundaries are boundaries. So, and there are tripartite personalities or groups that manage the insurance industry. The regulator, the producer, and the consumer. So within these trade groups, are they conversant with the content of these boundaries, the former ones, before we drive into the new ones? Then if at all they are conversant with it, are they well trained to come up, say when you meet this kind of boundaries, look at what you do? Because once you start a match without defining what the referee will do, at times you may score with the hand of God, or you may try to score and somebody will shift the goalpost, which will call for several other manipulations, which is not necessary. So that is why I want to restrict my position within the ambit of lawmaking. I know quite well that I have cited so many of the players in the industry, the insurance companies, and the like. And certain observations, which I may not come up to say here openly, it's quite obvious there are so many boundaries that I feel that if we're trying to initiate some new frontiers, we must completely eliminate all those, making sure we have the best international practice. Now, there are certain dynamics as well we have to look into, because the dynamics or the frontiers we might talk about within and outside this country, the national and international influences. If we are looking at situations today that insurance industry, which is global, that will restrict all our input and impact within here alone, we may get it completely wrong. Like the last time we met during the retreat I organized here, since that time till now, I know how many international webinars I've attended, asking questions, trying to pry into the best way to handle some of the legislations we are trying to amend. Now, this responding section is affording me the opportunity to listen to some of the prominent players in the industry. And operating with an obsolete law is something that always pulls down the interest of both the players, both the producers, the regulators, and the consumers, because insurance is all about confidence. And I know when the confidence is eroded, it will be difficult to introduce new frontiers when the previous boundaries have not been attended to. Now, if we look at the content, we are talking about low funding capacity. We are looking at technology-dependent innovations. We are looking at retail insurance and corporate insurance, and training and education of regulators and producers. To what extent are we embracing all this to give us a better result? Because I heard somebody talking about Takafo and the micro insurance. I'm not trying to finally keep a cap on it or pass it on still right now. But what I want to say is that retail insurance is very, very key, because that is where we're going to achieve the best penetration. It does not matter the manner of profit we are going to make at any point in time, but we must find a way of initiating ideas that can bring insurance to bear within our different localities. And this is a very serious contest, a very serious boundary where we must find a way of breaking it. Because insurance is not only for the rich, it's not only for the elite, it's not for the people that can only afford it at that level. But at the same time, we must find a mix at different localities to achieve a more quality result. Therefore, I want to say that we will try to put up some red flag indicators, which will initiate and indicate at any point we want to march into any danger as far as insurance. That indicator will just come up and say, no, you're getting it wrong. And it's not going to be a singular action. It must be a collective action that all the big players in the industry must come up to identify through collaboration like this and keeping it more to say these are the established red flags. And as a legislator, we are trying to come up with law that will stand the test of time, that will bring forth the ethic value and norms that each and every person, all the participants in the insurance industry will now say, yes, this is good to go. Therefore, I want to encourage all of us, both the consumers, the producers, the regulators, to now say that we must try and find solutions to the previous frontiers so as to drive the frontiers that we want to break in a few weeks, in a few months, in a few years to come. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Darlington Nwokocha. We also appreciate your staying behind, even when you have a session to attend in the House. We appreciate and thank you for what you bring to our industry. Thank you for the sacrifice. We have one panelist left, that is Sir Muftau Oyegunle. Before then, I am aware the Commissioner for Insurance want to respond to Mrs. Ekioma and Mrs. Rashidat's presentation. I will seek the indulgence of the Commissioner to please grant us another 10 minutes. I would have loved to take you now, but I feel Sir Oyegunle's presentation could also bring you back to speak to us. Please indulge us for another 10 minutes while we have Sir Muftau Oyegunle for his presentation. Sir Muftau Oyegunle, you have the floor, sir.
Our moderator, thank you very much. Not too sure really if I am supposed to be part of the discussants, because the idea of coming to talk from CIM angle is to let this platform know exactly what we're doing at Tata Insurance Institute of Nigeria. One thing is certain, we all agreed there are frontiers, there are barriers to be conquered, and that the insurance industry must prepare themselves to cross. Rashidat mentioned that we're avoiding the barriers. I agree with her. We don't need to avoid them. We have to cross the barriers. And to cross the barriers, you just have to produce individuals well equipped to be able to cross the barriers. So I bring you greetings from the Chartered Insurance of Nigeria and wish to acknowledge the mutually beneficial relationship existing between CIN and LCCI in furtherance of the objectives of our noble organization, which remains profitability and continuity in business. I sincerely appreciate the Insurance Stakeholders Consultative Forum, which has been a veritable platform for insurance awareness, information dissemination, and the promotion of insurance services, both on the demand and supply side of the market. The theme for 2021 is quite apt because the logical question for the industry after raising so much capital should be, what next? Hitherto, we had considered the fact that InsurTech, that is the use of technological innovations to reach more prospects, reduce cost of doing business, increase efficiency and management of data, have been recognized as an inevitable tool for the survival of the insurance organizations. Therefore, the digital transformation of the insurance industry ecosystems with customers at the center, ably supported with AI and machine learning, is the future. This is the new frontier that the current level of capitalization has enabled, particularly when coupled with the required cooperation and collaboration in the industry. For us at CIN, our challenge remains the ability to develop a manpower based of agile professionals that will deliver expected results with the application of emerging technological support. This means professionals well-grounded in insurance principles and skills while applying high ethical standards in delivering both technical and investment returns in a sustainable manner going forward. We recognize the need to groom world-class manpower for improved performance and the growth of the industry. I mean, there's a popular saying in nature that if you don't train them, don't blame them. And President Barack Obama, a former US president, reminded us that knowledge is the most valuable product a man can sell. Providing the necessary human resources for the insurance industry is our ultimate statutory responsibility. Hence, our unflinching commitment to this goal. The CIN, as the premier professional body that determines the knowledge and skills required for the insurance professionals, continuously provide the industry with the expertise required to improve performance, meet global standards, which ultimately become drivers of sustainable growth in the industry. Let me reassure you that the CIN and indeed the training subsidiary, the College of Insurance and Financial Management, have strategically been pursuing this goal. Hence, the recent review of institute examination curriculum and syllabus. These dynamic institutions, as part of their re-engineering efforts, are able to deliver online services and training, while the CIN is already putting in place the mechanism for commencing online professional examinations next year. Okay. We continue to identify industry skill gaps for our skill audit research and design training programs to meet the needs of the industry through our MCPD program, which facilitates skill upgrades for insurance professionals. Most recently, the Institute renewed its partnership with the Chartered Insurance of UK, which aims at boosting human capital in the insurance industry and enabling knowledge sharing of international best practices and ethics for the benefit of the insurance industry. The Institute has also embarked on an aggressive campaign targeted at disseminating the benefits of insurance and the career opportunities in the industry amongst the youth in secondary school and universities through well-organized Catch Them Young programs. It's our belief that the generation next will offer the much desired impetus that will raise the bar with respect to the performance of the insurance industry. With these initiatives in place, we are assured that the Nigerian insurance industry is poised to be a global market in the not too distant future. Permit me to extend my deep appreciation to the President of LCC, Mrs. Toki Magombije, Director General of Dr. Muda Yusuf, Chairman of the Insurance Trade Group, Mr. Boyega Olambionu, and all the staff of LCC who have worked tirelessly to make this forum a reality. I thank you all for listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sir Oyegunle. We appreciate you. We appreciate you for that insight. I will seek the indulgence of every participant and panelist that in another 10 minutes we will round up. We appreciate you. We appreciate you so much. Thank you for the extra time. On this basis, I would like to lay on the table the next item, which is presentation by LCC, for us to go straight to the Commissioner for Insurance. The Commissioner for Insurance, you have the floor to respond to the panelists' presentation. While responding to this, I will also want you to respond. There have been several questions on is our regulator ready for the next frontier, breaking the barriers of the next frontier. There is also the questions on there's always this question from Mr. Austin Enegomo Isire, that how ready is the industry for the fourth revolution? The Commissioner for Insurance, sir, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. So good to be back again. I wouldn't know whether this essentially has to be a question and answer session for me. I was thinking that it should be for the panelists. However, I don't really, I think comments have been made, concerns have been raised. I listen attentively to both speakers, and I wouldn't think that there was any particular question from the two gentle ladies that spoke, whether it was directed to me. But just to say that the regulator will not say is fully prepared, but is on its way. And from some of the things that I presented towards the end of my slides, you see some of the measures that we are putting in place for the future. They are not essentially things that is limited to the present practice. We are looking beyond now. That is why we are issuing some guidelines, doing internal restructuring, looking at our technology devices, looking at our service delivery processes, and also looking at ways in which conduct will be streamlined, look at the governance issues within the market. I think all these are pointers to the fact that we are getting ready for the future, because we know that what we are doing presently, both as operators and regulators, will not take us too far. But what we have put in place with respect to where we want to be, I want to believe we drive this market.
Very much, Commissioner. A lot of the questions that were posted were actually directed at you, and which was in respect of the readiness of our regulator in this aspect. And I believe strongly you have answered this fear, and you have responded well to it. And we look forward, we look into the future, and to go in the line of our regulator in getting things done and breaking the new barriers. We sincerely thank you a lot, and we thank you for your time. We thank you for your quality assurances and presentation. The last question for the day is to the organizers. Is from Mr. Shegun Balogun. He asks, can we have the presentation sent to participants? I believe strongly the organizers have everybody's email, and we will push for the presentations to be sent to the participants. On this basis, we'll move to the second to the last item on the agenda, which is presentation by LCCI, presentation by Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry.
May I please Actually, your indulgence, we allowed the Deputy President, Dr. Lawale, to give a closing remark first because he needs to attend our meeting. Deputy President, please.
Okay, thank you, Boyega. Before we have the presentation from the LCCI, can we have Chief Dr. Olawale Ko, the Deputy President, Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, for the vote of thanks. Thank you, sir. You have the floor.
Thank you very much. I would like to first appreciate the President of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mrs. Tokiba Bogunje, for being a great chief host today and for the seamless organization of this strategic stakeholders forum organized by a group of the chamber. I say a big thank you to the House Committee Chair on Insurance and Actuarial Matters, Right Honorable Darlington Owokocha. Thank you very much also to my good friend and brother, our Commissioner for Insurance, Mr. Sunday Thomas, for honoring this invitation and for the very relevant insight that you have given us today. I want to deeply commend the chairman of the LCCI Insurance Trade Group, Mr. Boyega Olambiwonu, and the entire members of the group for their relentless effort and commitment over the years, and especially in this dispensation. The importance of conveying such a timely forum as this cannot be really overemphasized. To our indefatigable doyen of insurance industry, Olola Olabode Ogolano, I want to thank you, sir, for honoring us with your presence and for your very, very inciting speech, partly in Yoruba and partly in English. We really appreciate you. We are deeply grateful to our sponsors, the Chartered Insurance Institute of Nigeria, Standard Chartered Insurance Brokers, SKIP, Leadway Assurance Company Limited, NEM Insurance PLC, AICO Insurance, AXA Manza. Thank you all and for all others who have given support for this program. On behalf of the Chamber, I would like to say a very special thank you to the Commissioner, which I said earlier, but I need to improve on this at this point. Mr. Sunday Thomas, you have been very impressed. We're very impressed in the industry with your transformational leadership at NICOM, which has given the industry a lot of confidence and stability. The professionalism and expertise you have brought to bear on the Commission is very encouraging, and we look forward to working with you with all candor and commitment for the progress of the industry and our country at large. The industry at this unforeseen time of COVID-19 pandemic has definitely experienced new dimensions in insurance practice, and this may remain with us for quite a long time. It is very obvious that information and communication technology, ICT, will undoubtedly dominate and dictate the future of our businesses in Nigeria and worldwide. This is an urgent call to the insurance industry to be responsive and proactive in this respect, in order to avoid being taken by surprises with developments in our new emerging environment. Stakeholders and practitioners in the industry must align with the reality of our times, because things will not remain the same due to the pandemic. Those who think that things will get back to the old normal are just wishing, but a wish that may not really come to pass. With my over 40 years hands-on in the experience in the insurance industry, considering my 4-year term as a member of the first board of directors of Lasaco Assurance Company Limited at that time, now known as the Lasaco Assurance PLC, from 1980 to 84. I'm at 38 years with Coalition Brokers. One major area the industry must look at now is cooperation, best practices, synergy, love within ourselves, and refraining from practices that will bring disrepute and dishonor to our great industry. The insurance industry, we all know the penetration level in Nigeria is extremely low, very dismal, and we all have to improve tremendously on this. We must also work hard on retaining a good proportion of our businesses being taken abroad for insurance and reinsurance. This will also help conserve our very scarce foreign exchange. We must do our best as practitioners to leave indelible marks and the right legacies in the Nigeria insurance industry. I want to thank you all for your time today. I want to thank you for your talents, your treasures, your thoughts, and all you have given to be here today. I wish you well and have a great day. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chief Olawale Pope, the Vice Chairman of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. We thank you so much. Boyega, are we still having the presentation by LCC? If we're not having, then maybe I'll call upon you to close the event. Boyega, you have the floor.
We are.
Okay.
Is right.
Presentation.
All right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Permit me to stand on existing protocol. My name is Oluwaseun Oshoni, and I'm the head of membership relations at the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. So a lot has been said today about collaboration and how it's important for us to thrive in the sector that we're in. And that is one of the benefits that being a member of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry affords businesses and organizations, because our primary aim is to provide a voice to businesses within the organized private sector. And we primarily do this through advocacy, through our customized training programs. We have business-to-business opportunities that come up. Speaking on business-to-business, we have a Nigerian-Tanzania Business Forum that is coming up this week. And we also have another one, Nigeria and Rwanda business-to-business session coming up next week. So I'm sure for our participants, you may be wondering, what are the requirements for me or my business to become a member of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry? Fundamentally, we need a copy of your certificate of incorporation. Your business must be incorporated by CAC. We would need a reference letter from your bank and another from your solicitors. And then we have 3 primary membership categories, category A, B, and C. So once you select and make payments for either of those categories, you will then be invited for a briefing session where you'll be provided with full and more in-depth information as to what to expect when you become a member of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Like I've said, I'm the head of membership relations. I'll be dropping my contact information within the chat box for you to engage us. But I want to encourage everyone here. I saw the comments in the chat section, how a lot of us were saying that they found the session insightful and they found it knowledgeable. So if you did, you can imagine what you will gain, how much more you would gain when you become a bona fide member of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. So I want to thank all the participants. And of course, I need to thank my chairman, Mr. Boyega, for giving me this opportunity to engage the participants. Thank you very much. And we look forward to hearing from you and obviously welcoming you as members of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for that presentation. Before calling on Boyega to close the event, I have noticed and I've read several questions on the question and answer slide. Because of our time, I want to assure everyone that have asked questions that your questions will be sent to the panelists. Their responses will also be part of the materials that will be sent out to all participants. On this basis, I call on Boyega Olambiwaninu to close the event. Boyega, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Rotimi Adewale. And I think I just start by actually thanking you for the roles you've played in this great event. Thank you so much. Once again, on behalf of the President of the LCCI, Mrs. Toki Mabogide, it's my privilege to say a big thank you for your time. And above all, also thank the Almighty God for the privilege given to every one of us to be present here today. I can recall that almost everybody present here this year were present last year. So it's our prayer and hope that by next year also we will be having you. And as we can see from the participants in terms of traffic, we did mention at the beginning that we had over 1,000 people logged in for this program, for this webinar, both on this platform as well as our Facebook page. And I kept on looking at the trend. We're closing with less than 15% of people who actually joined on the webinar who are off now. That shows a great deal in terms of knowledge sharing with seniors, in terms of the value that have been presented by the panelists, and of course, starting from our doyen, the doyen of the insurance industry, Olola Olabode Ogunlana. Thank you very, very much, sir, for your time and for your presence at this webinar. We deeply appreciate this, and we're not taking this for granted. We also want to thank our own commissioner. I call him my boy, and very interesting. From the time we set out this date, we've been engaging, and I can see how much that engagement has turned out in terms of the delivery he has presented, and not only to him, but also to his team, who had also been engaging us in this regard. And thank you very much, sir, Honorable Commissioner. Then to Right Honorable Darlington Nwokocha, who flew into the country a few days back and was still able to take time out despite his busy schedule. And it's really, really an honor on our part that we have somebody represent the presidency, even at this webinar. That's a great one. I want to assure you that all the points you raised will be looked at the advocacy group, by the advocacy group of Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. And so, Dr. Yetunji, I was flabbergasted. I think that's the right word to use. When you threw in the bullet, that is either we innovate or die. The answer is that we will innovate. And this country, we get the better lot in terms of the value that will be coming out of this presentation. Thank you so much, sir, for your time. And to my great panelists, my great sisters, you can't beat them for this. They said, what the men can do, women can do better. And we can see that in my great sisters, Rashidat, and our own Mrs. Ezebe. Great contributions you've delivered here, and we deeply appreciate that. And finally, to my mom, Sao Ibule, your words of wisdom, even in this webinar, it is something that is also deeply appreciated. And to everyone who has stayed in from the beginning till now, we say thank you so much for believing in LCCI. And we do want to assure you that all the points that have been raised here, we'll take them over at the advocacy group and have those discussions with the regulator as well as key stakeholders in this also. Once again, thank you very much. Whilst we look forward to seeing you again for the 2022 insurance stakeholders. Thank you, God, and God bless.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for tolerating us, and thank you for your patience. We look forward having you back in 2022. God bless. Bye-bye.
As a corporate entity in today's fast-paced and ever-changing environment, being part of a good network of business professionals and thought leaders is all you need to take your business to the next level. At the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, LCCI, we guarantee the promotion of trade, sound business ethic, and public policy advocacy that will help your business succeed. Founded in 1888 and with over 2,500 corporate members, we offer the best networking platform for business and profitability. Come talk to us today on how to become a member of the foremost Chamber of Commerce and Industry in Nigeria and Sub-Saharan Africa. For more information, please visit our corporate headquarters at Commerce House, 1 Idowu Taylor Street, Victoria Island, Lagos, or visit our website on www.lagoschamber.com to learn more. LCCI, giving your business a voice.
I want the